Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I am super excited to have Misty here with me today. But before I actually invite her onto the stage, so to speak, I want to give you guys a little background with regards to why am I even up here? Why am I doing a live about this? Well, I am launching a book, Dragon Activation Light Codes book, the first series, on September the 25th. But, truthfully, there are actually seven people, incredible individuals that actually have a pivotal role, a key role in making this happen. And so far, because of what they have done for me, I truly, truly want to highlight them. And so far, I've highlighted and shared how Rochelle Harlington has helped me. And if you haven't seen that, I'm going to add all the links. I think the links are already there. But Rochelle has absolutely helped me. And also, I've also met with Dina. I've highlighted her, and as well as Gayatri Singh, very key role, and as well as, Gina. Gina is also very key. See, all of them are very key. Gina is also a key role. And then, unfortunately, Kevin Humphrey couldn't make it to a live this week. But however, he is the English mystic, and he has written almost 30 dragon books. Okay, 30 books about dragons on Amazon that you can purchase and learn more. And so he also played a key role, and as well as Vin Dragonheart, which I will be highlighting later on today at 2 p.m. So stay tuned for that. And today, I have Misty right here with me. So with Misty, I've actually met her through Rochelle and Dina. And I was so grateful that they actually invited me to the first book, The Journey of Transformation through the Arts of Words and Codes. So they invited me as a co-author. And that's how I met Misty. Okay, so during that time, I had such a great experience. I learned so much, right? Because that was my first co-authored book, and I never thought I would be an author. And then, lo and behold, I have a second book. Now this is actually the third book that's coming out. So the third one, so I thought, I've been hoeing and humming and going, okay, well, I know I need to get these books out. So if you went to all the different videos, you'll realize that people have helped me along the way to get to me where I am today, including literally the dragons, okay? Asking Gina for help. Just go check it out. And then I've approached Misty even a while back, because I actually downloaded all these light codes back in April, okay, of 2023, literally over a year ago. And I do remember approaching Misty and said, oh, hey, I'm thinking of launching these books. Could you help me? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm totally there. I will help you whenever you're ready. Right. And I'm like, oh, great. Thank you. And it's like a year later, I'm going, I haven't did anything yet. So I connected with her again. Hey, Misty. Yeah, I am still thinking about launching this book. And I don't know. Could you help me to kind of start it off? She's like, absolutely. Whenever you're ready, hop on a call with me. I'll be right there with you. And of course, again, I'm kind of dragging my feet, and then a bunch of, again, go to all these different stories, how they actually kind of assisted me and kind of gently guiding me towards launching the book. So finally I sat, I had a call with Misty, actually many different calls with Misty, and literally she, like, even at the beginning, she says, you know what, Lily, I know you will be ready when you're ready. right? Because I know you're the type of person that if everything falls in line, everything falls into place. It's everything is just falls together and you'll get it done. I was like, wow, she really knows me. She really knows me because that's truly how I am. Everything is aligned, then bang, I can get it done, right? And then along the way, right? So we met on a call, and I'm serious now, right? I'm actually trying to get it done. And then I have questions like, oh, Misty, what is the font size of a typical book? Because again, I'm not an author. I don't read that much. Okay. So, what is the typical font size? What do you think a book like this should be? Like, should it be this size? Should it be this size? What size should it be? Should it be and what font? Even not even the size, what font? How do I even do the spine thingy majiggers? Like I don't even know how to do the spine. What is the inch? What is the sizing? And also stuff like should it be an ebook? Should it be a physical book? What is the marketing? How should I do the marketing? Like literally, she held my hand every step of the way. And at the end of our calls, I feel so good. No stress. I feel way better. And I feel like I can move on to the next stage because I needed all of those answers. And sometimes you may think it's small little questions, but for me, a person that is not really into books, into publishing any books, those are huge questions for me, right? And she literally, Misty was there always holding my hand, and she said, I will be there for you. She's not joking. She's literally, she was there for me. Okay. She responds to me on a timely manner. She's totally there for me. And I feel so good afterwards because I can move forward. Right. So she truly is a author doula, because before I call it douala, I'm like, why do I add an A? I'm not sure, but I think it's author doula. That's the correct way of saying it. She truly, truly, truly is. And she is so amazing, so incredible. She does so many other things, but instead of me saying it, I would like to invite her to tell us more about her. Could you please, Misty, share with all of us more about you, what it is that you do? I'd love for everyone to know. So
Well,
thank you so much for being here.
well, first of all, thank you. I just want to carry you around and like let you tell people about me. That was it made my heart really warm to hear you give feedback like that. So thanks for letting me thanks for letting me witness that. That felt really good. I am an author doula, and my name is pronounced Misty Lee. I run a campground, a healing campground called Campground TBD, where life is always to be designed, to be determined. It's up to us. And I found a few years ago, I've helped people through catastrophic loss through most of my career. I was in financial services as my adulting job, but I volunteered on a catastrophe response team for a couple of decades in my last position, which means I help people through really devastating moments in their life, tornadoes, fires, human loss. And I learned to deal with those personality types and get through to their energy and what do they need in this moment to feel safe and secure. So then when I began to run the healing campground full time, the energy of people going through big life changes, whether it's intentional, like I want to get sober, I want to lose weight, or through life happening, that energy space was the same. And I thrive there. I thrive in being able to say, what does Lily need in this moment to feel safe again? So I'm glad that you received it that way. I always go back, I'm going to make a point, but I always go back to watching my grandchild. When he's ready to go down a step, he just casually puts his arm up because he trusts that a grown up will grab that hand and he'll have that backup plan so he can take that step that he's not comfortable making yet because he hasn't done it a long time. So that's kind of what I come in as. This is your story. This is your baby. This is your creation. I want to be there to casually grab that hand if you're on a shaky step so that you don't get sidetracked and your thought process doesn't get delayed. So on our healing campground, we use writing to rewrite painful stories, to rewrite ideal futures, to rewrite a story that is continuing to hurt us even after the pain point has gone past, the memory is hurting us. And over time, some of those stories we began to put together and publish to serve other people. Some stories we just write them and release them because it's not serving us anymore. And then some stories we write and we share with the world. And I got very good at that space. So using what I know about energy and what people need, and then putting on my nerd hat and getting really good at the formatting and the uploading and all those little how-to questions that can stop a creative person. And I just kind of combine those skill sets. So now I run a healing campground full time every day of the year. People can come here when life throws them something big, and they can stay for a long time. They can stay for a short time. They can come and visit. I work with people online virtually who have stories they want to tell, they want to share, and they want to rewrite. And combining those allows me to be the author doula to help people, whether like it's you who have something they want to share and get published. Sometimes people just have a story they need to rewrite, and I help with that as well, even if it doesn't have the end game of publishing. So that's kind of what I do here. And I have worked with you and Dina and Rochelle and several of the people on your list. So it's kind of exciting running through you. The people who helped you on this are also people really important to me. So that was really beautiful overlap in our worlds.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And actually, could you tell us more though about who you are? Like, how did you become you, the wonderful you? Tell us, give us a little bit more background with
I am
regard to.
happy to do that. As one of my favorite stories to tell. Before the pandemic, I was in a financial career in my very masculine self. I had a lot of limiting beliefs that I could never do anything different because I was high enough in my career that I couldn't see how I could make any moves that would be financially rewarding for me. When the pandemic started and I got basically sent home for a while, I fell in love with my house again. And when I fell in love with my house, I fell in love with my garden, and I fell in love with making my own meals again. I fell in love with being active with my children rather than relying on nannies and housekeepers and all that was in that former world. So we can go down the woo woo path. I basically woke up with one this morning and it was in my head, it's time to go. And I put everything I owned for sale. It was just one of those moments where you just have to pull yourself out of your life. I sold my company, my business, buildings, my home, my furniture, loaded my disabled son and I into an RV, and we moved around and looked for land and bought a mountaintop. And I was very blessed. Um, Bear with me because this is a positive sentence, but there'll be a dip here. I got to spend 3 years with my son up until the day he passed, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. So I'm so grateful for that inspiration that came to me that morning and said, it's time to go right now. So in order for me to be set up on this campground, on this beautiful healing space, when I needed it most, when he passed, was really an honor that I take very seriously. So since that started, we have been learning to live more and more in tune with the property. And the more I do that, my gifts, that's the term I use, my ability to read other people and be there to be the doula, to just that one little piece. It's not that my brain has become so smart. It's just simply, I get it. I feel the energy now, and the decisions become very easy how I'm going to move about the world. And that's very different than how I used to occupy space. I used to be very much, I've got to have a schedule. I've got to have a plan. I've got to know what's right, what's wrong. And I'm going to beat myself up if I don't do the right thing. And now I understand everything I do is the right thing. There'll just be different outcomes from this choice versus that choice because I don't step out of alignment anymore. So that's kind of how I went from the corporate, just doing the things every day, that repetitive life of I'm not actually living my life, to being very active in every breath of my life. Every move that I make, every drink of water, I've been involved in getting from the tap and bringing back. Every food that I eat, I've been involved in the either the growing, the buying, the prepping, the cleaning, the chopping. I really want to be a part of my own life. And I take that very seriously. So I help as many people as I can because I truly believe my provision comes from my service to myself and to others. And this gives me a way that I get to do it. And it's never called work for me. It's just me having fun on the campground and helping my friends to expand themselves.
It's so true, right? Because when you actually love what you do, it's not work at all. Just like what I do, it's not work. I even hesitate to say, "Oh, I'm working right," because I'm not really working right now. I'm having fun.
Yes.
Yes, right. So I often I don't like to use the word work because I'm not working.
It's funny because someone said to me, "I know you're very busy," and that sentence hit me funny. I was like, "Oh, I try really hard not to be." Even though I'm having calls, I have a point, but like we said, this is fun for me. I don't want to be busy. I want to have fun with my friend Lily. Like it just happens to be what we do.
Yeah, right? It's honestly, it's so true. It is so true. But I actually I love the fact that you mentioned around 2019 when things kind of fall in place or starting to, because I find that a lot of people actually have similar experiences around that time. And a little later it's COVID, right? So it's just very interesting that many people have that so-called consciousness awakening or spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it. But I just find it extremely fascinating. But I love your story. If you can share with us your image, like the imagery of actually finding this campground. I remember you telling me the story about how a long time ago you were drawing like a certain type of a building or a house, and you're like, this is a weird looking thing, or this looks very different, right? I've never seen this before, but whatever. So you're still drawing it, you drew it. And then just you have a really fascinating story about how you found it. Could you share that?
Yeah, that one is the one you got to give that preface where, for those of you who are not fully in the woo-woo, I'm going to sound crazy, and I'm okay with that. so if you think, oh, this lady's crazy, that's okay. Just let it simmer in there. It'll come back, and we'll
I'm
come
one
back
of
to
them
that.
too, though. I'm one of them, right? So
Yes,
it's
yes, that's
normal
why you
here.
and I
It's normal
really,
now.
before I answer the question, I want to say how thankful I am that I've cultivated friendship with people who understand there is way more than what we read or what we see. And so I rarely am in a position I have to tone down my woo-woo anymore. so
Here.
so my son and I, he was very disabled, bedridden his whole life. And so we set up my RV, and I kind of made a place for him where he could stay in there and have his entire setup within the RV. I moved it up onto a mountaintop, and I caught rainwater and had solar panels set up. And I stayed up there for a summer and some time, getting the property, putting a road in, getting electricity, getting water set up. And during that time, I learned a lot about living. I wasn't anticipating being up there by myself. There was just some life that happened. And so for about 42 days, I was up there alone with him, off grid, no power, no water, and just learned to become me. And in that time, I had run-ins with a rattlesnake, which I accidentally picked up, which is just a whole nother story.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was composting leaves. And I was like, oh, they're so heavy and amazing. And then, slow motion.
Oh.
And then I was
Was
very
it
upset
rattling?
about that because I love living my barefoot lifestyle. I don't wear shoes. I play outside all day. And so I didn't like the snake thoughts. So I said, okay, let me be smart. I bought knee-high snake boots. I don't wear shoes. So that was already an out of alignment for me, that I was putting a barrier between me and the earth. And then a few days later, I came head to head with a very large copperhead. I'm very calm as I tell this story now, but at the time I found him, I had my phone in my hand because I took pictures a lot back then. I saw him curled up, and I realized that there was no way out of this situation. So I took a picture of him because I knew he was going to get me, and I wanted people to know what happened to me. That's literally the thought process that we went in. Then, as woo-woo has it,
But what is it? What was it?
a copperhead snake.
Oh, snake.
Very,
Copperhead
yeah,
snake.
it's a very poisonous snake.
Oh.
So I took his picture, and then I went somewhere else for a minute, and then we were apart from each other. And that's the same way the snake happened. I don't know how I got from being so close proximity to being away from them. I didn't run. I just wasn't there anymore. So after that, I couldn't deny that something bigger was happening, which I understand timeline protection now. At the time, I didn't. So I really believe that I took myself out of that position for a minute so that the snake and I didn't cause each other harm. So I came back in from that. I was very upset. I went into meditation, and I had a very profound meditation. There's a lot of people who teach this now, but at the time I didn't know about it. But I felt something coming up through my core and up through my head, and then this information rained down on me. I came out of that meditation, and I wrote for hours. And it was 9 things that snake meant to me. So I just wrote and wrote and wrote. Interestingly, I argued with part of it. As I was writing, I was like, well, that's not true. Those people aren't going to do anything to harm me. But I was getting warnings about things that I wasn't seeing that were dangerous to me. And so I took several of them to heed. And number one, the first message I got was to get off the property now. I had just bought that mountain. I had just put the road in. We were finally functional. And it was so clear, leave the mountain right now. And then in every other step of the 9, it was, and leave the mountain now, and leave the mountain now. And the following, I can't remember if it was the very next day or the day after that, a neighbor got upset with me and chained me into my property. Like he locked my gates from the outside so I couldn't leave.
Wow.
And I called the local law and they told me not to concern them with this civil matter.
What?
And I realized I was arguing with the universe. I had a very clear message. The message wasn't get off the mountain when you feel like getting off the mountain. So I called a friend and she said, well, come bring your RV and park in my pasture. So my other child came with bolt cutters, cut me off. I told someone I was going to sell the property, that it wasn't for me. That person bought it. The very only person I ever told it was for sale bought it. Okay. I opened my computer. I know this is long, but there's points. I opened my computer. The last time I was on Zillow, it populates again and it sees my list and it shows me a house in Arkansas. The first house that I went to go see, on the way there, my car literally told me to make a U-turn in the middle of the street. I mean, there was no turns and it kept telling me, reroute, make a U-turn. So I called the realtor. I said, I'm not going to buy this house. My truck has told me not to. So I turned around and on the way back, she called me. She said, we have another house. It's in Mina, which that word meant something to me. I'd been doodling that word quite a bit and I didn't know why. And she said, it's kind of quirky. I said, okay, that sounds a little bit more my style. Now this goes back to the picture. When I have had a dream home in Oklahoma, in the city, I wouldn't be happy there at all. But in my mind, I had a dream home, this beautiful, expensive brick home in the city, beautiful yard. But when I sketch like a child. My childhood dollhouse, the house with the triangle roof. And this house is a 3-story A-frame, triangle roof, or red home, greenhouse roof, all the things that I put in my little sketches whenever I quickly sketch houses. And so when I pulled up, it kind of made me laugh, like I drew this house. And I'm going to wrap it up here, but I had also written a story that my next property, anytime I'm faced with a dilemma, I write what I want out of the situation. So when I knew I was going to leave the mountain after the snake, I wrote, it'll be so easy to find my next property. That's one of my favorite writing prompts. It was so easy. The decision was so easy. The decision was so easy to move to my next property. This is in my book, Famous. I will be able to walk and naked around my entire house in the privacy that I wish. I'll be able to feed and house more people every day. I'll be able to serve more people from where I'm at every day. I'll be able to dress like a princess once a week if I want to. I'll be able to have dinner with 12 or more people. Like I wrote what I wanted from the experience, where in the past I wrote 2,000 square feet, 3 bedroom, or, I had linear thinking. And so last April, when the eclipse happened, I was on the other side of the property and I was looking back over it and I said, I drew this moment, because there was about 50 people on the property and I could hear laughter across the pond, which was another thing in my story. And I could hear music playing in the back building in the big barn. And I looked over on the hill and I could see my A-frame triangle house with the green roof. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have sketched this so many times. And so there's a lot of little fun tidbits if you ever come up to the campground that are in stories that I wrote from my childhood. And I'm like, they'll be like, why do they have that little tiny window there? I'm like, sorry, I wrote this when I was a child and I didn't know that you're supposed to have regular window sizes. So even some of the funny things, the last funny thing is, as a child, I drew that there would be a lake on my property, which there's a large pond. And then again, as a child, I drew a sidewalk around the lake, because where we went in the parks, there was always a sidewalk around the pond. As I grew up, I realized that was a silly thing, that people don't put sidewalks around their personal ponds. my house came with a sidewalk around my personal pond. So I was like, oh, that's from when I drew that as a child. I manifested all that.
I love that story. I really love it because it is actually absolutely that is the way to manifest,
Yeah.
right? That truly is the way to manifest. And if we are not intentional or we don't know what we're doing, we are also manifesting, right?
Right.
We are, yes, no matter what happened, it is in our reality. We are powerful creators of our own reality. So, but if you're more intentional about it, meaning if you realize that you have the power to do whatever it is and attract whatever it is you want, then you get whatever it is you want. So I love that story. I love that story so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. And tell us actually more about the property itself, like even the surrounding, because I remember you mentioning something about really cool about also crystals.
Yeah. So I got to put on my other hat for just a. So the campground is located off the Ouachita National Forest. So I'm on 10 acres, but I'm surrounded by 800 and then up against thousands of national forests. So it seems like I'm just in the middle of nowhere. And if you try to go underground, you're going to pull out different types of crystals. So along the roads here, you'll see people that have crystal shops set up, and the energy here is really powerful. When I first moved here, I noticed it instantly, and I began to have, which will segue back into that, but I began to experience things that I formerly didn't believe in. And I had to go, okay, am I going to be closed minded or am I going to be open minded? Because what I'm experiencing is breathtaking and phenomenal and beautiful and makes me cry in the most beautiful way. And also allowed me to emote hard emotions in a really powerful, like wailing. I've never wailed in my life. I've yelled, I've been mad. But when I was here with my son, when he died, I was able to do, I call it a wail. I was able to put out a voice that was very healing to me that I couldn't have done in I wouldn't have felt comfortable. I don't think I would have let myself be here, but this property invites that. It also has the way, I don't know if this farmer knew I was coming when he built this place many years ago, but the way they've set it up directionally, I again, my woo woo. I like that the northeast, south, and west have very specific differences on the property so that you can experience a very lush grass. There's a place at the front of the property you can roll down a hill, down the grass, and it feels great on your skin. You don't have to worry about any things sticking you or anything like that. And it's just very inviting. Then there's the water that you can get in and experience that. There's places that are very, almost desertous. The ground is orange and sandy in the back when there's just little rocks that have sparkles coming out of them. I call them my crystals, but there's just lots of really beautiful rocks that are white and silver and sparkly that come out if you break the ground open. And what I believe it does here is it takes healing, the linear nature of healing, and it compresses it and makes it more, I call it like a V, because here's where the person is standing and they just have access to all this healing because we can connect us to the earth, we can connect to source, we connect to sun, we can all the elements. And of course, I feed everyone very high organic, nourished meals and high vibration meals. But the property itself is just invites you to heal at a higher level because there is no external noise. And I don't just mean like the noise of the TV playing. There's no Wi-Fi out here. You cannot hear the traffic. I heard an ambulance one time and it shocked my ear because I haven't heard a siren in so many years. I was just like, what is that sound I hear coming? So it's very interesting to be aware of how much we're consuming when we're in the world. Just in your house, you're consuming the sound of your air conditioner, you're consuming the sound of your neighbor honking their horn, or it's just going into your thoughts. And out here, you're forced in a loving way to deal with you. And once you deal with you, then you also that's where that V comes in. You get to express new gifts, new talents, new thoughts, new things that you may not have believed in before. And it makes healing go that much faster than if I needed to go back to the internet and Google 48 different people who were in this kind of relationship and how did they heal. Here, I can just ask my question, spend some time on the property, and the healing comes in unless I choose to push it away. And everyone who comes here has had breathtaking healing unless they left. And a few of them, two people that come to mind, left very early in their stay, One of them came back and completed his stay because he realized that he just ran away when it got a little bit uncomfortable. And I'm here again as the doula to the people healing here. When it becomes uncomfortable to be alone with yourself and you feel like, oh, I want to go shopping, I want to go get a coffee, I want to go out to eat, I want to call my ex-boyfriend, I want to get a drink, any of those things we want to go do, let me just search on my phone and go on Facebook for a little bit and scroll for a low dopamine hit. I'm here to just say, just let me hold your hand and let's go play for 5 minutes. Let's go swim, let's go kayak, let's go rebound, let's go do something fun or something energetically releasing, and then see if you still want to leave, if you still want to get your low dopamine hit. So I think that people get to heal here. And as a person who went through the most devastating loss that I've ever been through on the property, I'm so grateful that I got to do it here, and that I spent the last 30 years making sure that I knew how to take care of someone going through something like that. And then I got to be the someone. So I got a little bit off track, but that's what my property does for everyone. It's very powerful. The energy is great here. I believe the energy of this area is bigger than most people understand. And on top of that,
Yeah, that's actually absolutely not off track. That place sounds amazing because even by you just saying everything is quiet, there's no noise, like literally. Oh, I understand what you mean because because even right now, as weird as it may sound, because I remember even a few years ago when we went to a place around Ontario, the Grotto, I think that's what it's called, or Flower Pot Island. I remember I used to say, oh, I would love to wake up to the crashing of the waves, the water. That would be so amazing. So we went to that park, and of course, we went for a walk, kind of, yeah, basically went for a walk and for a while. And as I was walking towards the end, I'm like, oh, this is so too much. I can't stand it. I need quiet. I can't have the crashing of the waves. I cannot hear that all the time, right? I just need quiet, like literally quiet. And I'm more and more like that now, where even when I go to the park, I notice the traffic, the noise in the background, right? I know there's birds, there's forests and everything, but I still notice the cars, the like all that noise, like I do still notice. But for you to describe it like that, because I know Dina really want to go to yours, and so do I. I've actually, because everything I do is online, right? And I want to try to see if anybody would be interested if I actually hold a healing event on your property, because I would love that, right? And especially now you're describing it like, because there's a reason why all the conversations happen, all the interactions happen. And I truly believe in that. And yes, it's probably the woo, but for me, it's the norm because I am so much immersed in that kind of space. And I notice those alignments. Even for you to, the way you described it, the quiet, it's like, oh yes, I need that. The way that the way that you can, the way that you heal everything, you go within. Yes, go within, because everything is within. You just need to quiet your mind and go within and connect, right? Connect within, because I know it's probably cliche, you hear it so often. Oh, all the power is within you. You have all the answers. You do. But you do. It's not just a saying. You truly, truly do. So I love that, because even with the crystals that you were describing, on the property and stuff, and even somewhere close by, I think I remember you telling me before, like a mountain that's really close by, like crystal mining or something.
yeah, crystal mining, diamond mining, all that stuff is around here for
Diamond
people to
mining.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe could you kind of tell us more, give us an image? Okay. So visual of, so if someone wants to book a space, how does it work? So they want to, like, is it one day a week? Like, how does it work? And what do you provide? Like, because I know you also include writing lab. I don't know what you call it, writing lab, where,
Relax writer, yeah.
yes. Yeah. So tell us about the whole, whatever offering, whole
Okay.
package. Yeah, yeah.
So one of the things I do is I'm the doula if you want to have a retreat. So what you just spoke about, if you said I'm going to bring 6 or 10 or 20 ladies or people, however, and we're going to go to Misty's campground, then I would make sure you have what you need here. Do you need yoga mats? Do you need rebounders? Do you need yoga balls? Do you need salt lamps? I make sure you have, so you don't have to lug all that. I tell people you can always pack light when you're coming here, because I live this woo-woo life. You don't need to bring in all the woo-woo. I have it all here. The sound bowls, anything that you want to use, I want to make sure that you have that here. And then I want you to be able to focus on your content and your guest, not who didn't have creamer for their coffee or who needs a Band-Aid. I kind of run the background of that. So that's one option that we serve here. And then the next one would be, I put on relaxed writers weekends and weeks all the time. And that can be, you call me and say, Misty, I need to write a book and I need a place to break away for a week. And then I'm here. Again, this is my life, so it's not work. I write every single day of my life. And when people are here, we will do some group events so I can answer little questions so that they can get right back to creating. A third thing that I have here is my son's nonprofit, which is haydensray.org. And it's 365 days a year healing space that's dedicated for people who are going through an unexpected or chosen major life change. So it could be, I've decided I'm not going to smoke another cigarette and I need to go somewhere away from it. I will help you detox for sure. I'm very good at this. It could be for someone that said, I got so angry last night, I almost got a drink and I've been sober for 10 years. They don't need rehab. They need to get reconnected. So I'm here for those kind of 911 calls. It could be someone who finds out that they were cheated on, or that they've had a medical diagnosis, or they've lost a child, or they've lost a spouse, and they need to be able to go somewhere they're safe. They are, I had a young man tell me it was nice to have a nurturing mother on site, like just to make sure he was fed and hydrated. And I would, just little questions that you ask, just not to overshadow them. And I also, you asked me, how do people get here? I usually have phone calls with them, and we will have really strong conversation beforehand about where I'm allowed to push and where you would like, we have safe words, so to speak. Because at some point in your healing here, when you're going through something big, there will be anger. Anger is a part of grief, and you have to be able to express it. And I'm a safe place because I've helped people through major catastrophic losses my whole life. So if you yell at me, it doesn't hurt me. I will simply let you know this isn't about me, and I'll invite you back to your cabin for the rest of the evening. And I usually tell people, go back to the cabin and write me a letter of every reason you're mad at me. And then let's talk about it tomorrow. Because in that letter, in that free expression of grief, they're going to find something in them that's helpful to them. And then if I need to make a correction in my day, I will. But the anger part, they'll be able to work through. So usually people get to me by having a phone call with me. I have a website, campgroundtbd.com and haydensray.org, but I specifically keep those a little bit vague because this isn't for every single person. Anyone can come here and enjoy nature. Anytime you can just say, Misty, I'm not here for your help. I'm here to enjoy the place. However, if you want to let go of a story, I want to make sure that we've had a phone call and that you understand that when I tell you I'm here for you even if you don't like it. Like, I'm not going to let you run in front of the cars. I'm not going to let you hurt yourself. And that may mean I'm not going to let you lie to yourself anymore. So how they usually get to me is they reach out to me on any platform. Almost 99% of the time, it's a direct referral from someone else who knows. I plant this seed a lot. If you run across someone in your world who is just having an unexpected, oh my gosh, I can't do this, coming here for a day or 5, or I've had one woman who stayed 42 days before she could break her codependency habits. And so it's really whatever they need. That space runs every day, 24/7. And I usually get a text that just says, do you have a bed tonight? Because they know me well enough to know they're ready for my honesty. And I'm not mean. I'm not tough love. I don't yell in anyone's face. We don't do anything like that. I just simply won't let you lie to me. And that, in healing, honesty is a very important place to stay.
Yes,
That was
thank
a
you.
long way to tell you. Reach out to me if you want to know how to come here. That's the easiest answer, is reach out to me or someone who's been here or someone who knows me, so that we can make sure that you are emotionally ready to break through or go through, or to tell me I want to come there and I don't want any of that, but using your voice to let me know how I can help.
Okay, so I want to put this in the banner, actually. Campground You said DVPD. Your
TB,
Oh,
TBD, like
oh,
to be
yes, yes,
determined.
that's right, that's right, that's right. The .com, campgroundtbd.com. Okay.
Yeah.
I want
And I'm
to.
Campground TBD on Facebook. And then haydensray.org is the nonprofit. And I have the web pages. And like I said, they have some pictures and things, but we don't have a lot of just like randomly booked to go stay with Misty because a lot of people may not enjoy it here. They find out that it's all really about healing and being just really in tune with who you are. And it's not so much about following my course, my ways, my outcomes. Each person that comes here has a very different backstory and a very different future story. I'm just here for that little blip of healing for them.
Yes, and I think I understand what you're saying about it's not for everyone because everybody is at a different stage of healing. Like healing takes in different forms and different stages, and also if you're not ready to be in that quiet space to go within, you might find it jittery. Like, okay, I need to be busy. I need to, where's my electronics? Because I know how that feels too, to be honest.
And I have things for that.
Yes, so I totally hear you. I want to put haydensray.org here too. I just want to make sure I spelled it correctly. HAYDENS.
YDENS. Hayden's Ray, like Hayden's Ray of Sunshine. What's funny
Hayden.
you said about people getting jittery. We call it the third day, and sometimes it happens on day 3, and sometimes it takes a month or 6 months when that person gets to that place. Day 1, they come here and they're just in awe. It's beautiful. I just want to go and hike and look and play. Day 2, they want to get on the water. They want to really have a great time and they want to jump on the rebounders, and then they're exhausted and then they sleep greater than ever. And they wake up on day 3, usually we call it day 3, no matter when it happens. And they're like, all right, I think I've got clarity. I'm probably going to head on home earlier. Like I hear them trying to back out because they're starting to get quiet. And so I'll say, do you want to help me? It's funny because I can usually tell by then, do you want to help me chop vegetables? Do you want to help me burn this stuff down? Do you want to help me break these things up? Do you want to help me smash this box? Like I know they're looking for some kind of emotional or physical outlet. And just living on a farm, sometimes it can be something as just sending someone to go get the eggs, and they go on a little adventure and they forget that they were feeling anxious, or go feed the hummingbird. Like we have hummingbird feeders, a lot of hummingbird feeders. So it's kind of a big job to bring them all in and wash them. But by the time they finish that task, they've had some time while they were feeding the hummingbirds or collecting to go, I was thinking about something and I do want to dig a little deeper. So I've kind of got some little, you could call them booby traps, but they're for uplifting reasons. I've got little things set up to where people have, when I see a natural urge for them to look for their phone, look for something to do, I need to run to town, then I will kind of divert for just a minute to give them another uplifting option. Because most of us simply don't know other ways to get our dopamine fills. We don't know other ways to feel that love and connection, or to feel important, or to feel on time, or to feel like we're making the most of our day. So I do try to watch for those symbols. And by the 3rd day, I usually have enough grasp on the person to know that they would prefer to help me. There are some women that want to just put my essential oils in order. Okay, please do. Like, I want you to feel that you're, because they're in a fragrant space, it's uplifting them, and they're getting that fix of feeling like they're doing something. Some people, I have to tell them they're not allowed to do anything here because codependency runs so deep that we make a game of it. Every time you try to do something I didn't ask you to do, I'm going to make you, like lay down and let me rub your feet, or, like you're going to have to be doted on, or I'm going to make you a glass of tea because you were trying to take care of me. So it's just interesting watching what each person needs to let go of that thing they always reach for.
I love that and you know what it is that they need. I love that, right? Because you know exactly what the process is, and when most likely that they go through the cycle, what the cycles look like, and how to assist them, how to help them along with the cycle so they can move on to the next stage, right, of the healing process.
Right.
So yeah, so I love that. I love that. That truly is special because not everyone that where you're actually at a campground or at a space, healing space, where they actually know how to guide people the proper way, right? So that is so special. And so, of course, in addition to all that, you have helped so many people in actually be able to launch and write books that became number one best selling, so many different categories. Okay. So many different categories. Maybe tell us more about it, because we, like, even with my first book, co-author book with Rochelle and Dina. I remember the first day, it just felt like we were getting the, nomination or getting the award for all these different Grammys or whatever. I'm like, whoa, the best for the best. You're like texting us, you're now the best for. We're like, oh my God. So exciting, so exciting. So yeah, so tell us a little more about that.
Okay, and I have helped. I need to do a new count, but last count it was over 200 authors to hit that spot. And it's not. I am a publisher as well, but that's not. Publishing is free. I am here to educate and walk as the doula next to the authors as they publish their books. Similar to what I do on the campground, there's only a certain number of personalities and what they're looking for. So being able to identify that, whether they're here on the campground for healing or they're authors, I said to you, I know you. When you're ready, it will align, it will be easy, it'll come through you, and we'll get this book released because I know you. I have other authors that I say, on Tuesday, I need 1,000 words. On Thursday, I need 100 words for your bio, because they are receptive to linear, because they're so out here, they won't come back to linear. So I know that's the piece they need to bring in. So it's fascinating for me to be able to, to me, I would imagine if I went to another language and no one spoke English and I heard one person speaking English, no matter what they were saying, I would want to go talk to them because I hear that frequency that I can understand, that English. So when I'm working with a new author or someone on the campground, as soon as I hear their language, my language is I'm very out here and I don't have any structure, or my language is I'm very structured, but I'm just not doing this thing that's for me creatively, or I'm very creative, but I don't have the confidence. I've heard you say it. I'm not an author, and you are. Everybody can be an author. So like I listen for what they're telling me, and then I just listen to them rather than in my former days, I did some coaching and I had protocols that I followed based on who I was coaching for. So I'm in that type of situation. I had to look and go, okay, Lily wants to write a book. All right, Lily's checkbox number 1 is going to be, but you might not have been receptive to that because you and I work in alignment. And if it's not coming out of me, I won't force it. I'll simply won't go to the meet. I will call you and say, it has not come through yet, because I'm comfortable in that space now. So I've helped about 200 authors get through this processing. I would say that I most often help people who are writing about something that is not in the norm, the typical, the standard. And so now I'm going to toot my own horn. That's why I love me as an editor, because I can get your feeling, your emotion, and I keep that. And I ask questions of your writing so that you answer them rather than I decide as the editor, oh, she should have said this, because we are writing about things that haven't been written about as much. And it shouldn't sound like every other book. It should be different. It should break some rules, because we aren't trying to get the same outcome. We're not trying to get everyone to think the same. We're trying to get everyone to think their own way. So I do think that's one of the reasons that I am successful and that I've had such a high rate, because I work with people who are very in line with what they're writing about. They're very passionate about what they're writing about, and they simply need someone to kind of fine tune and wrap it up to make it presentable to Amazon or to whoever the outlet they're going to use. But they don't need anyone interfering with what their core message is. And this brings us, if you're okay, I want to talk about your book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, sure.
The first book that you did, Dina, is such a gift. When I met Dina, I was back in that snake part of my life. Yeah, and I was learning that everything is not the way I believed it to be. I needed to be much more open-minded because I was experiencing things that I would have considered in the past. So I met Dina and she says, well, you know, I'm into dragons. And I'm like Puff the Magic Dragon? Like, what are we talking about? Dragons. And she's like, you know, dragons talk to me. And she sent me her chapter. And I remember thinking, oh boy. But I talked to her and I'm like, okay, this is kind of a dilemma because I love her so much, but she's crazy, clearly talking about dragons and light language. I mean, I just didn't know. And then at that same time, someone said, well, I see you doing your hands. Like, do you do light language? I'm like, okay, you're the second person who said that to me. So the more I got knowing Dina, and then I think after Dina and I's first talk, I look up in the sky and there's just a clear dragon in the clouds. So I sent her a picture. I said, okay, I'm listening. I'm understanding that it could be different. So editing a book that has light language in it is a very interesting. I can't read the words. I can't look for commas. I had to sit with your work and I had to sit with her work. And when you and I were talking about your new book coming out and how people can experience it if they're not into, yes, it's so beautiful. See, what just happened in my heart is what I'm going to talk about. If you don't know dragons and you don't know light language, or you think they are just cuckoo, get this book anyway when it comes out and set it down next to your bed and just feel it for a minute, because energetically, it's making my cheeks do that thing. Energetically, you will receive the energy that Lily has put into this book. Whether or not you choose to believe or experience a light language, it is there. And that comes back to what we're talking about, the noise. Whether you hear your air conditioner running or not, your body is aware of it. So if you bring something beautiful like your book and you bring that into your space, you are going to start to absorb it. And then as you begin to look at it and it makes you smile or it makes you feel warm on the inside, then you can start to open that book and go through it. She's got good text in the beginning, but just it's different to experience a book because we're taught to read left to right, top to bottom. And this book will give you an opportunity to experience something you may or may not have believed in the past. And that's what it did for me. That's what you and Dina have done for me. I can't say I can't teach a class on light language. I simply can appreciate that I experience something when I'm in the presence of your book, your work, your original book, having phone calls with you guys, with you and Rochelle and Dina. I experience something different. And I don't have to have a name for that experience because it's pleasant for me and it uplifts me. So that's what I would encourage anyone who's like on the fence about either one of your book, the last one, the one that's coming out, and you're like, okay, I want to support her, but I'm not really into that. You don't have to be into that to be able to experience and consume part of that. So if you're going to have something in your house, have something powerful that works as just an energetic uplift. We weren't ready for the book yet, but it is something about how light language affected me, and it helps me as an editor to know more and more people who have a unique space that I don't understand, and I can support them as authors as well, even if I don't quite understand their language or their gift yet. So I think that's why I'm a great editor, and I also want to encourage people to get the book, even if they're not sure how they feel about light language.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that because it truly, right? Truly, what it is that that's how energy works, though, because all of us humans, we're used to, we will see it before we believe it, right? See it. What's the saying? See it to believe it. See, you can see it, then believe it, or whatever the saying is, right? You'll see it, then believe it. But whereas energy is different, right? Energy is absolutely different. It's there. And you basically, it's there. You have to be in the vibe, right? You have to vibe that way in order for you to attract, right? And this is too the same thing. Like if you have an open mind, right? And just receive, just be curious, even be curious, have an open mind. It is there for you. It is there for you. And I love the way that you're describing it because I'm so in it that I will say it the way that I see it, but for people that do not really understand light language or energy or light codes, so I really appreciate you sharing that with everyone and to articulate that, because you're so good with what you do and you're so good in articulating and your thoughts and everything. And thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Well, I'm
So,
excited. I will say you are a star pupil of I've worked with a lot of authors and I love them all. I become really good friends with probably 10 or 15%, just really become cultivated friendships. And you and Rochelle and Dina, we've worked together now on so many different things. And it it's nice being, I don't want to say pulled along for the ride because I'm here too, but I like being able to enter this space um, in such a safe way. It like you said, being curious. When I'm with your work and I can be curious and grateful for you, I find that's where I manifest the highest. That's where I'm aligned at the best. That's where I'm open to receive information in a way I can comprehend it. Is to just sit with it and be. That's my personal preference. I just get really grateful for you or the author that I'm working, and what you are in my life, and then I sit with your work, and it just makes sense to me in that space even when I might not have understood this exact subject prior to that. And so now I look at my life this way. When I run across something and I'm like, oh, that's weird, I get so excited because I recorrect myself and go, okay, if it's weird, it's wonderful. Let's dig in because I want to know what made my body perceive weird. And you guys were weird and now you're wonderful.
I love that. And you have actually an anthology that's coming out soon, right?
Yeah, exactly on that. We
Right.
just shared a thought. I felt that happen. I've got a collection going right now, which if anyone's interested, I have room for a few more authors, but it's called My Good Juju, and it's the weird and wonderful within. And it's really just about, I saw something, I thought that person was crazy, and then I embraced it and lived 30 now 30 years later, I'm still doing it. The first person that taught me about iridology for my son, I was like, woman, you need to get away from me. Because I just thought she was a crazy woman talking to me in a health food store. Then I got certified. Then I helped many other people just learn to look at eyeballs and tell a lot about what's going on. But it was
Mm.
weird. And then it became wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Actually, that sounds fascinating. What you just said. You know what? I could actually envision us having so much fun if I actually met you. If I went to the campground, right?
Yes.
We hung out, it would be so much fun. And if Dina and Rochelle can come and join us, and then we have an event there, actually, it will be absolutely fascinating because I can even, because you know how I go according to my downloads, right? That's the way I do it. And if it's aligned downloads, I take action because that's how you manifest.
Hmm.
Yeah, I could definitely see an event happening.
I have a vision of us
Yeah.
doing a week of wonder. And it's like, wow, week of wonder.
Hmm.
Um, and we just come and we just each share our unique, weird and wonderful things that we do here. And
I
yeah, I
love
have a vision of that. I'm manifesting that. I'm drawing that story.
actually, I love that. I love that idea, right? Because a lot of the things that you're sharing, I want to learn too. Like the I don't even know how to so how do you say it again?
Iridology,
Iridology,
the
even
study of
that
your
in
iris.
itself. Yeah, that sounds so fascinating. I would love to learn more about that. Yeah, and a
Well,
bunch of
each person that stays here, because I naturally attract, people who understand the woo woo, they'll share, each one has a unique practice in their already in their day that they'll bring here while they're healing through something else. And so I've learned so much about different ways to meditate, different ways to move my body, different ways to release energy that gets pent up. um, there's nothing, and I don't know how it is for men, but for me, the worst feelings I ever have are when I just feel like I can't or I don't know. Those are very low vibrations for me, and I love to find new ways to release that feeling. So if I feel like, oh, I'm not going to make my light bill or whatever, I have a rebounder right behind me. As soon as those thoughts come in my head, I have learned from people that stay here, go bounce them out and then come back to thinking. And so each person that stays here has brought a new modality of healing or growing or experiencing the human experience. And so I have this really cool tasting of all of them, and I want them to all come back and share with each other now, because usually I do work with people one-on-one most often out here. That is the beauty of here. It's also a private campground. So if you do need to come here, you can rest assured, if you need the whole place to yourself, you can have it, which there's something really beautiful just being able to, TMI for some people, to just run naked through the woods screaming at the top of your lungs if you feel like it. It's really healing. So it's there's something really cool about having a place where you can just experience the condition of being a human however you feel like it, and it's safe and it's wonderful. So yeah, I look forward to that event, the Week of Wonder, somehow.
The Week of Wonders, even that name. I love that name.
Well, I call myself a woman of wisdom, so I call myself a wow.
Yeah.
And even my coffee mug says "Mom" upside down is wow. And I'm like, so Mom upside down is a woman of wisdom. And so I was a mom. My children grew up. One of them passed on, and so now I consider myself a mom upside down. So I'm wow.
I love that. Love that. So before we hop off, we are a minute over, but before we hop off, is there anything else that you would like to share with everyone?
Just, I would like for everyone to remember that if you meet someone that is a great person and they just had a big life moment, I want to just plant the seed that you know someone, you know a place they can go. There's no planning involved. They can, long as they got on clean underwear when they get here, we'll figure out the rest. Like I can get them a toothbrush, like pack light. So just keeping my name in mind when someone comes to you and says, you know, Lily, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. Just go, you know what? I know a place you can go. So I really am just planting that seed that I'm a place of healing. I'm also here to disrupt the publishing industry. So if you have a story that you want to tell and you need someone to walk beside you, rather than spending thousands of dollars with them, call me. I will teach you. If it's something you need to hire me to do, we'll talk about that. But I'm happy to have those really just answer the question phone calls to get people through publishing and help them in every way that I need. And then if you'd ever like to come to the campground for any reason, I would invite anyone to come out and stay and enjoy the nature space here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Misty, for being here, for sharing all of the things, sharing you and sharing basically how wonderful, how wow you are. Sharing all of your wows. Really, really, truly appreciate it. And of course, as I mentioned before, you definitely played a key role in for me to launch this book, because literally without you, literally, I won't be able to launch it. And on September the 25th, so everyone, I will run actually something exclusive, an exclusive deal on the 25th for only 24 hours. So save the date and watch out for the link the day of Eastern time, because I'm in Eastern time. So I will post that link in the morning Eastern time. So stay tuned. And again, thank you so much, Misty. And thank you everyone for being here and for hanging out with us, for all your comments and interactions. I really, really, truly enjoyed it. And it's so fun watching the comments coming in, but I'm going to read it in detail after.
Yeah, I saw them and I couldn't read them. So I was excited to see what they say. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Misty. We're going to make that. What is the week called again?
Week of Wonder.
Week of Wonder. We're going to make that Week of Wonder. Manifest that. We're going to be manifesting that. So stay tuned, everyone. Yes.
All right. Thank you for this. I feel like it was a party for me, and I appreciate you so much. And I am very proud of you. I look forward to your book launching. Everyone watching, please support her, like her post, love her post, share her post, buy her book. Self-publishing is an incredible art, and she put a lot of love and energy into this. So I really am looking forward to supporting you on the 25th and a very powerful launch for your new book.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Thank you, Lily.
Bye for now.